this is Artie and Marissa, and you are listening to the podcast Birth Yourself Brave. And today we have stunning Sarah Lynn from Simple Online Solutions. Welcome, Sarah.
Oh, thank you for having me, Artie.
We've been planning, as we were just saying before, we've been planning this for a few times, and we're third time lucky today.
Absolutely. Definitely meant to be today.
Yes, I was so inspired by your recent posts and your shares that you've been empowering the community. It really seems that you're meant to do this work.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it does seem to be um, everything's lining up in the right place at the moment. So yeah, hopefully I'm on the right path now.
Yeah, but tell me a little bit more about your path, so to say, because initially you started off being a therapist, and you've gained a lot of experience in that field. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Sarah.
Okay. Well, I live in Swansea, South Wales, and I started off in therapies. I think it's 16, 17 years ago, basically because I was bored. I was working full time, and in the evening I was bored. So I said to my husband, "Do you fancy coming to do evening classes?" And they were doing reflexology taster classes in the local school, and we signed up and did a 10-week course, and I absolutely loved it. And while I was on the course, I fell pregnant with my daughter Jess. Excuse me. So things kind of got sidelined, but there was always that love that had been sparked in me for reflexology. And then when Jess was born, after about a month of her, oh, after she was born, Jess suffers from migraines, or suffered from migraines, I should say. So I was looking for an alternative to help her deal with the migraines than the typical Calpol and medication that the doctors had said. And so I decided to go back and train as a reflexologist to help her with her migraines. And that kind of snowballed. 16 years on, I'm now qualified in many different modalities. And thankfully, Jess doesn't suffer with migraines anymore. She had what they call chronic migraines, and it was to do with the hormones. But yes, that's how I became a therapist. And over the last, as I say, 16 years, I've worked with many wonderful people to help them with their with their health, but also on the sideline, I would do websites because I'm a little bit of an IT geek. Before I became a therapist, I worked in a bank and I was a data analyst, and I've always done sort of IT things like that. So I was doing websites on the side of doing holistic therapies, mainly for friends, small business owners who wanted to get an online presence. And then last year, when COVID hit, unfortunately, couldn't do very much hands-on treatments. And so Emerald Dreams, which was my holistic therapy business, that kind of got sidelined for Simple Online Solutions, which is my website design business that I absolutely love helping ladies in business. Mainly I work with small business owners who aren't friends with technology, or a little bit technophobe, help them to get online so that they can share their knowledge and skills with their clients. And I absolutely love it. It's fab.
It is, it is. It seems like you're full of wisdom, and it's all wisdom about being visible. You give everybody the opportunity. But just a few more moments about retracing back. How old was actually Jess when you were offering the reflexology to her with the migraines? Was it when she was quite young? Because you were saying,
Oh yes, when she was, well, by the time I qualified, she was probably about a year old by the time I
yeah,
was offering it for her. And even though it would help her very much to minimize the um, symptoms, it wasn't actually stopping them. And at the time, Jess was getting migraines every sort of around about 3 weeks. And what the way that it would affect her would be that she would be it would always follow the same pattern. Jess would get terrible pains on her legs, which meant that we knew that they were coming on. And then she would be really, really sick. She couldn't lost her balance, couldn't couldn't even really focus. It was almost as if she was drunk. And that would happen overnight. And then the next day she would be perfectly fine until she went to bed, and the same thing would happen again. And that would happen over 72 hours. And then she'd grow. She'd have a growth spurt. And this continued on probably for about 7 or 8 years.
Oh, it's a very long time.
A long, long time. And then we went to, three of us went to London to learn a technique called access bars.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about that as well.
Yeah. And whilst we were there, the lady who was teaching us said that Jess was an empath. And the reason she was, or one of the reasons she was getting the migraines was basically because she would take on board everybody else's rubbish and negativity, and the migraines were a way of her releasing them. So she'd get sick, migraines would come on, Jess would have time out because her body would make her have time out, and then she'd be fine again. And once we realised that, and we put in place some tools and techniques so that basically Jess could return to sender with love the energy that she was taking on board, she really got to grips with the migraines as well. So whether it's looking at it from a more medical point of view, whether it was her age, or whether it was the more energy point of view, but I'm very pleased to say that she's at the moment she doesn't suffer with migraines. And
Yeah. That's brilliant, Sarah. Thank you. I'm sorry I had to go back to it because it's so fascinating. Because a lot of us, like, we hear about reflexology. I'm a reflexologist as well since 2005, and I absolutely love it, especially now, as you were saying, with COVID and the pandemic, people can't sleep, and reflexology is such a natural treatment to help people relax to be able to sleep of migraines, and from such a young age, she's had them, and reflexology being one of the tools that you helped her with. It's nice to give it the credit it deserves.
Oh yeah, reflexology is my first love, and as a therapist, my sort of three go-tos are reflexology, EFT or emotional freedom technique, and Bach flower remedies, and those three together are power tools. Absolutely fab. They can do wonders for a lot of different symptoms.
Do you know, Sarah, that's why we're getting along, because I would say those three are my go-to as well. I'm doing more ancestral energetics now,
Right.
but it's a deviation from EFT, so to say. But yes, I agree. They're absolutely life-saving
Yes.
on life's journey.
Yeah.
But thank you for expanding a little bit more. But I know your so-called second love now is your website designing.
Yeah.
So,
It sounds a bit geeky, but I do absolutely love getting to grips with. I use a platform called WordPress, and it allows businesses to get online, and you can start off small and with things called plugins, which are basically like an app that you would get on your phone to add functionality to your website. Your website can grow with your business as you do. So you may start off with quite a small website, like a brochure website, but then you may want to add on a booking system, or you may want to add on an online shop. I'm working with a lady at the moment who has an online shop, but is also got a bricks and mortar store as well. So we combine in the two, so that when she takes sales in her actual shop, it affects the database in her website to keep her stock control up to date and things like that. So yeah, it's all really, really exciting to be able to see how it helps businesses in real life.
brilliant, brilliant, Sarah. Thank you for sharing that. I would like to take it a step further, because I think you're more, I consider you as a website fairy, so to say.
Oh, that's nice.
You're able to pinpoint. So when I started working with you, I remember you actually um, helped me with the overwhelm that I was experiencing with like my website getting hacked, and also the emotional disturbance that you feel that somebody's invading your privacy, so to say. So
Yeah.
you were very helpful. But also, I would like to talk a little bit more about how you help others become visible, and also to so your approach to creating websites. It's not just a shop website, because you help the personality of your clients, the therapist or that lady that you were talking to come through as well. And you do that very subtly.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
gifted at doing this.
Yeah.
Tell me why did it's, of course, you've got your holistic therapy, as you said, but why do you feel that it's important for somebody to come through their website?
When you're a small business owner in particular, I think people they have a lot of choice nowadays. It doesn't matter what field you're in. There's a lot of choice of where they could go and shop. So I think by bringing through your personality, your experiences, your skills, it makes you stand out. And it can be quite scary becoming visible online. And I know there's a lot of fear around, even say, for example, putting a photo up on your website can make people feel very nervous, because you're actually sharing parts of you and your life that you wouldn't necessarily do unless you're face to face with people. So putting them online means that you're visible 365 days of the year, 24/7. And by just by encouraging people to actually share their story, generally what I found is that people have got into their business, whatever field it is, because of their own experiences. And sharing those experiences with people online, so your potential visitors to your website, helps you make that connection. And it's lovely to think that it's like a ripple in a pond. You can, by creating a website, you can connect with so many more people and get your gifts out there and help more people. I work quite a lot with therapists, purely because I am a therapist, and we seem to get that energetic connection going anyway. But I think especially now at this moment in time with COVID coming into the second year, oh, therapies are so needed by so many people. And if I can help other therapists reach more people in their area and also their speciality, then it can only do good in the world.
Yeah, and this, the theme of this podcast, Birth Yourself Brave. You've been a very important part of my journey as well, and birthing
Oh,
myself
thank
brave.
you.
I've told you this before. I keep hearing your voice. So what is the solution you're offering, and what is the they're experiencing, and what is it that you do?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to forget what you do, because you are living your life.
Mhm.
I found working with you to realize that I'm living my life and I know exactly how I help others. But others, when they come onto my website for the first time, or even when they get to know me, I need to be very crystal clear as to what I'm offering them. And if I can touch their pain points,
Yeah.
only then they'll be willing to give themselves the privilege of us both working together, because it's a two-way thing, isn't it? Even you and me, it's we both
Yeah,
help each other
definitely.
in ways that we don't understand.
Yeah, I think when people, as I say, maybe because of fear, and maybe because they haven't done it before, when they putting themselves out there first of all online, whether it's through a website or whether it's through social media, things like that, they forget how much they actually have to offer to people, and presume that people know. Whereas if people are finding you on the internet, or just seeing your profile for the first time on social media, they don't know anything about you. So even though it may sound a little bit to you as if you're blowing your own horn, is that the saying, or blowing your own trumpet?
Trumpet,
Um,
yes.
then it's just about sharing what you do, because then people can then decide, yes, I'd love to work with you, or at the moment, no, you're not for me, and that's okay either way. So determining what you do, I think, for a small business, and telling people what you do is a really good thing. Unless you're somebody like Tesco's or Nike or things like that, where you can have people just know what you do because they're so big. When you're a small business owner, I think you need to actually put it out in front of people's faces quite in a basic way. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is the problem that I solve. Um, am I any good to you?
Yeah, it's that am I any good to you, that call of action, which to be honest, not only does it help with websites, but it's everyday interaction.
Mhm.
When you're going through different problems, especially with the pandemic, there's a lot of loss, there's a lot of grief. It's asking, people that I need the help, or this is my situation, this is what I have, this is what I need. Are you able to help?
Yes,
Very
definitely.
simple, nurturing process that we are learned to be able to process anything in life, I guess.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest uh, what's the word? The biggest things for somebody to ask for is for help, I think,
Yes, I agree. I agree.
because we are so used to being independent, and if you're asking for help, sometimes it can be seen as maybe a little bit of failure, or um, that you don't know what you're doing. So asking for help is a really big thing, and by offering your services and telling people, is it any good to you, then you're meeting them halfway, I think.
Yeah, it's being vulnerable, isn't it? It's a question of you showing up. I always think like when people come to therapy, they're up on a wave. Even my packages now, which thanks to you, I've got more clarity as to how I can structure it. So when people come to you, they're already on the peak of the wave. And when they start working with you, they are going to go low. That's just the way life is. It's a continuous circle. So when you go low, it's giving them again the tools to be able to come back up on the wave,
Yeah,
and again they'll go low, and again it's a high low, but you
yeah.
need to be high to be able to realize that you actually need help. So this nicely flows into what we wanted to talk next as well, about the emotional freedom techniques. So you said about reflexology, the batch flowers as well. So if you want to talk a little bit more about EFT or the batch flowers, your other loves as well as your
Yes.
websites.
Yeah. I use EFT every single day for myself. I'm always tapping away at some kind of negativity. I do have this little character I call a negative Nancy, who sits on my shoulder and gives me the verbal in my ear. Now, who am I to be giving people advice, and who am I to show up online, things like that. So every now and again, I need to tap her away and just put her back into place so that I can move forward and share my gifts with other people. Not that I'm better than anybody else, but if I don't share, then other people don't move forward as well. And as you say, it's just a circle of life, to move people forward. So I use EFT, as I say, myself, for things like being visible, coming on podcasts. I've never done a podcast today, so thank you very much for having me. This is
Oh,
my first experience of a podcast, so I definitely tapped this morning around the fear of saying something wrong, or basically just, again, this is another way of being visible. Even though this is an audio as opposed to maybe a video, then it's still quite scary that I'm talking to you, like we've done many times on Zoom, but potentially people hundreds of miles away, or even thousands of miles away, could be listening into it. And that's quite scary. So yeah, I definitely tapped on that this morning. But I've also been doing some tapping with a lovely group called Love Reflexology on Facebook, which I'm a member of, and we've been tapping around things like being visible online, and also around about blogging. So putting your opinions out there, and because that's quite scary. Sometimes it's scary from a technical point of view, as in I don't know what to do to create a blog, for example. But also it's scary about actually you putting your opinions out there and your words out there for anybody to read. So doing a tap along to help get rid of those fears before you even start can help your blog to flow so much more easily, and allow you then to shine through the blog, so you can share your skills and experience and your knowledge with your visitors. So yeah, EFT is definitely, if you haven't used it before, I would definitely look it up, because it's such a simple tool to learn, but it can help in so many different situations to let go of negative feelings, negative emotions that can have a huge impact on your entire life. I've shifted things over the last 10 years. I've shifted things going back to when I was a baby that was still having an impact on my day-to-day life. So I will forever be grateful for learning EFT.
Well, thank you, Sarah. You are an embodiment of how effective EFT is, which is proof that you are
Thank you.
talking to me today.
Yes, definitely. I couldn't have done this podcast even 2-3 years ago, because I would have just been too shy, and it would have been my you're not good enough. That was quite a big belief that I had to get over. I was bullied when I was younger, and that had quite a significant impact on how I felt I could show up in the world. But by using EFT around those situations, I'm here today talking to you on a podcast.
Definitely. I've actually got a free 21-day EFT, video, so I'll put them on as well, because it's just nice.
Definitely.
And the good thing about EFT, once you learn it, it's for you. You can change the words, and be able to modify them to what you're feeling as well.
Oh yes, and you can use it in so many different situations, and also help your family and friends as well.
Yes, I've got a little Birth Yourself Brave Facebook group, and literally just a few weeks ago, actually the beginning of the year, I started doing gratitude tapping Tuesday.
Oh, brilliant.
And very simple. It's just a few minutes, but
Yeah.
of course, I'm trying to empower others. But it's so useful for me to have that intention. I need to do gratitude tapping on a Tuesday.
Yes,
I look forward
definitely.
to it.
Yeah.
I feel sometimes just being grateful for the opportunities you've had, even if you can't find them. That gratitude really helps.
Yeah.
So, in terms of just to finish off, the theme of this is birth yourself brave, and you've definitely been a great source of support to me to help others as well on this
Thank you.
journey. Any last words you would like to share with others, because you birthed yourself brave through your own pregnancy, and coming back from a banking career into therapy, and now into websites. So you've actually birthed yourself brave quite a few times, and this is just one few. Anything else? How? Because um, you've actually inspired me to be brave in my own website. Any closing words, anything that you can share with others in terms of being brave to be visible, and to share the message?
Oh. Um, I would say that if you've got that little voice inside you that says, I would like to do blank, whatever it is, then please follow it. Because there will be nothing worse than you get into the end of your life and saying, I wish I'd done. So it doesn't matter whether it's a small business, or whether it's helping people locally, in a caring situation, whatever that little niggling voice is inside you, it's there for a reason. And it's not wrong to listen to it. It doesn't matter how old you are or what skills you've got, whether you're in a completely different line of career at the moment. Find a way of following it, because it is basically your intuition and your heart, I believe, talking to you and saying, this is where you should be. And when you get there and you then become part of helping others, the feeling is like nothing else you've got before. There is nothing more satisfying and fulfilling to know that you have had an impact on somebody else's life in whatever way you've done it, whether it's through therapies, whether it's through getting a website out there so that somebody else can realize their dreams of a business. Just follow that little voice in your heart. And I know that sounds maybe a little bit woo-woo, but it's worked for me on 3 separate occasions. So I'm sticking with it, and I would love you if you've got that little niggle, follow it.
That advice is so valuable. Whoever's listening to this at any time of their life can be inspired to listen to that. So thank you, Sarah.
Oh no, thank you very much for having me. It's been a wonderful first experience.
I'm glad, and you're a natural. I wanted to say that before. You're such a natural. It's like another Zoom that we're having together, where you're helping me go through the website or asking me the right questions, which are really hard, because people when I put you in a pedestal, asking you asking me the questions, but you need to have a lot of bravery and courage to put that seed in other people. So so thank you.
Oh no, thank you very much. As I say, it's been lovely, and it's you make people feel very at ease. If anybody else is planning on coming on the podcast with Artie, please don't have any doubts about coming. It's definitely worth sharing.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Sarah. And I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Okie dokie.
Thank you for listening. Please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe for future episodes, and also to let other people know that we exist. If there are any links mentioned that you cannot view, visit the YouTube channel Artie and Marissa, and you will find them on the relevant episode under the playlist of Birth Yourself Brave podcast.